So hi, I'm the Reverend Phil Bettinson. I am the priest in charge of St John's the Evangelist here at Rhosymedre. I think this has been a fantastic event to do, especially here in one of the deprived areas of Wales. Actually getting some of this stuff that tends to get pulled into the heart of Wrexham out amongst the people. The responses that we've seen from the local community have been amazing. While we might not have necessarily seen them responding here today, it's been a bit slow today, but people have absolutely loved being here. We know that we have made a difference to the people that have come, and that, I think, is worth every penny.
I found it really inspiring and relaxing. It's really interesting to come to an area of Wrexham that I don't know that well. I think my brother used to come here to play football, but otherwise, I'm not familiar with the area, and it's really nice to sort of get to know people and things about the history of the area and things like that. I've really enjoyed that.
It's been really good. As full-time carer for Matthew and Catherine, I found that they've taken more of an interest in nature. They've both upgraded their own cameras so they can take better pictures of things in nature. We've gone different places, and they've said, "Oh, look at that, look at that." It's made me more aware as well. So it's been good, and it's given us all time to be more relaxed. If you're at home, you've got your routines and all that. But being out and it's really good.
Absolutely love them. I was able to make 3. I missed 1, and 2 of them I had my 5-year-old with us. And it's just been lovely to have that combination of getting out into nature, into wildlife, and we've been so lucky with the weather as well. But then to combine that with being able to just sit and be creative and let that inspiration sort of take root and develop into new ideas. And I love the fact that you start each session with a blank page and you always walk away with something. It doesn't matter if it's scribbles or it's something you've written or something you've drawn, or I've been leaning a lot into collage in these sessions because that's just not something I have an opportunity to do most of the time. And I've been really proud of what I've created, which has been nice to kind of just have that space to do.
It's actually difficult to force myself to put my pens down and put the computer down and actually go outside and do things. So it's actually forcing me each week to sort of go, right, okay, I know I've got to finish that, I know I've got a deadline, but actually this is just as important because I've made a commitment to coming here. And that's been really, really, really good. And I think there's a lot of processing goes around in the background then while you're outdoors and doing other things and noticing things like the changing of the lights and stuff. You don't see all that when you're sat at home.
The poetry cards, that has been one of my favourite things, really good. And just really enjoyed it.
Is there anything you haven't enjoyed?
No, I think, and it's been a good mix of ages as well, because we've had little ones and obviously Matty and Catherine in their 40s, and they've just all sort of mingled, and it's been really lovely.
What has been really interesting is that we have managed to get quite a few of our younger members of the community to come and actually join in. And the difference that this has made to them, we had people who came who weren't really used to being social, weren't necessarily used to doing anything kind of arty or creative. And we found that just by being in the space, the amazing facilitation that has been provided here, that they have really come out of their shells. And you'll see when you get to see the ebook, when you get to see some of their art, just how amazing some of this stuff has been. They've moved from drawing something into making something real. It's an incredible change, both in their art style and in the way that they've grown, but also in the way that these people who have not necessarily interacted with others before have really come out of their shell, laughed, joked, and really joined in. So it's made more than just an artistic change. It's made a real personal change to them as well.
Initially, the first session, when you said we're going for a walk, I'd put big walking boots on and I had my jacket and I was sort of ready for almost like some sort of mountaineering or something. And then I came and I realised it's a lot more relaxed than that, and it's just about whatever your ability is, and then just coming and doing whatever you feel like doing, and trying out little bits of different things that perhaps you wouldn't normally do.
I've loved going for the walks. I've loved being in and around both the graveyard and the surrounding areas, and seeing all the different, not even seeing it, but taking notice of all the different elements that work together. I'm particularly drawn to the way that human buildings and stonework and industry get consumed and affect the local environment. Because I love, I've got pictures of plants coming through the stonework and coming through the paths and the walls and things, and I just love that kind of almost reclaiming of things that humans have impacted. I mean, even just looking down at the floor here, you can see the plants coming through the paving slabs, and that to me is one of the things that you so often miss when you're just walking around a space. You see how humanity has impacted on nature, but I think it's always worth taking that time to see how nature has impacted on what we've imposed.
I think mainly learning from each other, talking to each other about things. Everybody else has their own stories and their own knowledge on certain areas that you just wouldn't be aware of. Yvonne was telling me, we were talking about the railway in this area, and then actually about what happened to the railways per se under beaching, and it was just not something that I was aware of. I haven't talked to anybody about that before. And last week Yvonne was casually talking about Jessie windows that are in churches, and I'd not heard of Jessie and I wasn't aware of the stories in the Bible, but I had sang a song at Christmas time at school, and in a choir, and I'd always wondered why Jessie was in them, and it had a gift bendiga Jessa, my blagged take I pre, and I don't even know what that means, but now I know that that's actually a character from the Bible, so I'm excited to go away and fill in that part of my childhood really with sort of actual information that makes sense of the words that I was singing.
I think it's definitely helped me have a space where I can just be still, which is not something I'm able to have very often, and that has definitely been a positive impact on mental health, on emotional state, emotional regulation, just being able to sit and create and have something to show at the end of it, because I think so much of what we do is sort of transient in, you know, whether that's a Facebook post or a work that, especially the kind of work I do, we get a new project every month, so it becomes very much a cyclical thing rather than something that you can actually say, I did this, and that's been really, really good for me.
I know the area very well, and I know the facilities here are really good, which, you know, we've got the toilets and things, and if we did, you know, if the course run again and we needed a downstairs space, then we can arrange that as well, because where the pews are missing at the back of the church, and it's really good. It's a nice, like a lounge area, so people who may need extra help could.
A lot of the church in Wales specifically have put a lot of effort into making our spaces community spaces. So we are always happy to take on projects like this, to have this space used in this way. And I think going forwards, it is one of the best forms of collaboration. We've got these amazing spaces, and they're often in communities who are in most need of actually having these kinds of projects, of getting to know the green spaces, of getting to expand and understand their own abilities, because for a lot of the community here, they haven't really had that opportunity. They've struggled a lot in life and haven't really had a lot of chance to spread their wings in this way. So it's absolutely vital that these kind of projects comes to spaces like this up and down Wales, and of course specifically here in North Wales, where we can actually make a real difference to the community around us.
I think potentially having sort of sessions. I think what you would need is more participants, and having, you know, when there were other children that he could engage with, those sessions, you know, went really quick. But then even so, I wasn't able to maybe step away from it and do the creative stuff I wanted to. But everyone has been so good about kind of giving me that space, and, you know, taking him away and doing different things and activities that work for him. I think having more participants and having more people engaged who could be doing different activities at the same time would maybe have been one way to just sort of keep his attention span. But that's what happens with growth and with, you know, the project developing and hopefully something more coming of it. So I'm just very glad to have been involved from such early days.
The more time you have, we could explore. Like today we went up to the football ground because I've been asking about that, because obviously it's a very interesting story. They moved it from where Tesco wanted to put their new thing in the middle of town, which makes sense that, you know, the football ground doesn't need to be right in the middle of the town. Or the built up area. And we went and we looked, and we were talking about the rocks and talking about the quarrying and what's the history there. What would be really nice is if we had sessions like this continuing, we can look into those things and then bring that information to the sessions and do things with that, because ultimately what you're doing here is taking an area that has been neglected by a lot of other maybe projects that go on in other areas of Wales, and saying, hey, this is actually really interesting, this sort of post-industrial area where there's, you know, there's scars upon the land and these rocks come from that area, and actually picking up those bits of history and people's familiar stories and doing something with those.
I would have liked the course to run longer, but, you know, with the school holidays and things, it's been, you know, we were time limited, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so I think, yeah, we're if it goes again, and perhaps go for adults. My obvious interest is adults with learning disabilities, but I think mixing the adults, all sorts of adults together, works as well.
Both you and Anastacia have been incredible, just in terms of engaging with what we want, the positivity. I mean, I picked up something that I made and went to Anastacia and said, praise me, because it was like, but I felt comfortable doing that, because I was like, I know that she will find a positive, even if it was rubbish, she would find a positive. And that's just it's been lovely to know that no matter what I created, it wasn't there to be judged, it was there to be enjoyed. And that was quite freeing in a way, because you were free to make mistakes, you could, you know, do silly things, you could mess up, and then still, again, have something that you could be proud of at the end of the day. Both you and Anastacia are incredible at picking out that and making it such a welcoming and open environment that you can really enjoy what you're creating.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Just a big thank you to you and Anastacia and the church here and everyone for being involved and making such an awesome 4 weeks.
Going to the park.
Going to the park?
Exploring and doing puzzles.
Yeah. Have you enjoyed taking pictures of nature?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the favourite picture of nature you took?
The clouds.
Yeah? What other things did you find?
I found that thing all over there.
Can you describe it? Can you tell us what it looked like?
Prickly.
Yeah, it was prickly, was it?
A thorn.
A thorn?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Keep looking at the camera.
It's been a long time.
Well, yeah, you know, you've got to do a lot of talking. So how did you enjoy the stuff that Natasha taught you?
Good.
Yeah? Was Tasha a good teacher?
Yeah.
Can you tell the camera what you liked about having Tasha as a teacher?
Super good and amazing.